Sam forgiven you for the sidecar trip?
I don't think he'll ever forgive me for the sidecar trip.
I was at the Birmingham Bike Show, the Motorcycle Live, and I had one of those weird moments where I was standing in a queue and the guy behind me was discussing what he thought of the series behind, and he was saying about Charlie joining it for the last series and stuff like that.
Did he know you were in front of him?
No.
Oh, okay.
And then he said, he went, oh, that Sam though, isn't he a whiny bastard? I can't believe he didn't want to go on the back of that sidecar. God, it's only for a bit of telly. It was like really having a go at Sam. I was like, oh, bless him.
I couldn't blame him though.
Yeah, I know. It was like, there wasn't a seat.
No, it was,
So
it was
just
horrible.
out of curiosity, if you don't know what this is, if you haven't seen the show, we did a trip on sidecars. We did a Towson Trails, and Graham was like, "Don't worry, I'm going to sort this. I got this." The one beforehand we'd done all had 125s, and to take the mick, I had the Herald that's down there. You had a Sinus 125, and then we gave Sam a C90 because it was funny.
But it was brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant actually. But then Graham was like, "Oh, for this one, don't worry, I got this. So we get dropped off by car, just sitting there waiting. And then we hear a couple of bikes coming, and we're like, oh no, that's not it. Then he turns up on a sidecar. I, of course, immediately shotgun the side bit. And then there's no seat behind him. He expected all three of us to go on it, and Sam just to sit on a bit of metal behind
Well,
him.
we were going to go and pick up the thing to go on the back, but just for a few miles, he would have had to have just sat on bare metal.
And then we immediately went off-road.
Yeah, and he had a huge.
And it was
fit.
just, and he had a bit of a hissy fit,
Yeah.
and literally just disappeared for like 5 hours, and then eventually we were like, well, we couldn't get hold of him, we couldn't do anything, and then we got a text message after a while saying, where are you guys now? And he'd phoned up his wife Claire. Claire had come down on a Honda that we had on loan, a Honda Africa Twin, and just given him the Honda Africa Twin, and then he just got on the bike and left her, and I was like, well, where's Claire? He said, I don't know, she probably got a train back or something. I was like, it's just like, yeah, and then he rode that for the thing because he was being really miserable.
Have any of you ever had the pleasure of riding a motorbike sidecar outfit? Yeah. What did you think? It's horrific, isn't it? It's just the most horrible thing. I don't know if they're all the same as this BMW sidecar outfit, but don't get me wrong, it was a real experience doing it. I'm very glad I did. But when the guy who I borrowed it off was explaining how to ride it, he said, in order to turn left, you have to accelerate, which makes sense because you're going around a big pendulum on your left-hand side, and to turn right, you have to brake, so that the weight swings around you that way. You're nodding like you go, yeah. So that's all well and good, and you get used to that reasonably quickly. But if you don't accelerate around a corner, you literally just go straight on. So if you're thinking about it, the worst possible piece of road then is a downhill left-hand corner, because downhill you have to accelerate around the corner to get around it, because if you don't, you just go straight across into off the road. So you have to get your speed completely right to go around that corner and to be able to accelerate. It was horrific.
It is weird.
It was horrible. No, it
I'll
wasn't
tell you
just weird,
what,
it was
no,
horrible.
there's
It was
one
horrific.
worse thing than riding it, sitting in the sidecar. Oh my God. It's like, you're really near the edge, Graham. You're really near the edge, Graham. It was terrifying. For about the first 2 days, and then afterwards I spent most of the time asleep.
Yes.
Okay, so this is quite a good one. If you could travel or ride with 2 other people, dead or alive, who would they be, and where would you travel to?
Well, but you and Sam, obviously.
No, seriously, who would it be?
I kind of wish you and Charlie had invited me on the long way up. That'd have been
Oh
quite
yeah,
interesting.
because they would have done that. You guys all being best mates and all.
Yeah. No, it's
It'd be more entertaining
bit of a naff one.
than you and taking his wife.
Yeah. Who would I want to ride with? I honestly don't. Just mates. Genuinely, there isn't kind of somebody from the past or who's famous or well known. That would just be a bit shit. Riding with somebody you don't know. I mean, I was lucky when I went round the Med with Danny. I mean, I spent 2 hours with him, maybe 4 hours before we went. And
Yeah.
we got along really well. Luckily, it could have been horrific. But it genuinely would be mates.
Cool.
But as to where I go, South America, that's on my to-do list. South America.
Yep, cool. No, it's big creepy crawlies. I wouldn't go with you.
I'd make you go.
Oh, I didn't sleep the entire time we were in South Africa. We went to South Africa for 2 weeks, filming and riding. And on the first night, literally the first night, I opened the room where we were staying, and a camel spider was in the door frame and ran out. And if you don't know what a camel spider is, it's about that big. It looks like a cross between a tarantula and a scorpion, and it's the most hideous thing I've ever seen. And then I can't sleep on planes, and then on the way back, I just zonked out for the entire thing, didn't I? Because I just hadn't slept properly in the 2 weeks we were there because I was so scared.
But also, of course, the worst thing you can do on one of those trips is to admit to everybody else you're scared of spiders. Because then everyone goes and buys plastic spiders and leaves them in places to try and scare
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It was.
Oh, Tom, get a thing. I picked up my camera. I almost dropped my camera, which would have ruined the whole thing, the whole trip, because I picked it up and they put a plastic spider on it. No, a plastic scorpion, that was.
It was a plastic scorpion, yeah.
Okay. What's your best 24 hours on a bike?
It would probably have been one of the 24-hour sections of the Dakar ride.
Oh, yeah? Which?
So, if I had to pick one of the 24-hour sections, probably, oddly, it was probably the day when when you're going down the coast of Mauritania, it was the first place we'd been where the sand dunes were just sand dunes. So no scrub, no rocks, just pure golden sand as far as you could see. And the other side of the road was the sea. And we did that pretty much for a whole day, didn't we?
Yeah, that's amazing.
And before we'd gone, I remember someone telling me how, for something that would appear to be so plain, how beautiful just sand dunes are when it's just the sand, and quite mesmerising.
Yeah.
So that, or probably when we rode into the Gambia and back. So that's right at the very end of that trip.
Is that when we were 2 up?
Yes, that was nice. Because in my picture, the picture I had in my head was green jungle, solid, and then a red sort of dirt track, and that is exactly what we did. Yeah, properly riding through the jungle. But then it was meeting the people in the villages later on, and the fact that we had problems with the bikes. That was kind of quite an interesting 24 hours.
Yeah.
One of those two, probably.
Okay. It's going to be a really boring answer. What's your day job, Graham?
It's so boring I make myself fall asleep. So I'm a management consultant.
Yay.
Yay. And I'd much rather be doing motorbike stuff all day.
There you go. Whoever wrote that question, I apologise for the boring answer. Have you got any advice on the best way to start editing a lot of footage from a bike trip? Feels quite daunting.
So
get a friend who can do it for you. And then
so I can only talk through the way I do it. So I actually do a lot of editing of my personal trips. So every time I go away in the summer with my buddies,
you make an incredibly 2-hour-long indulgent.
Yes.
It showed me his last trip to Croatia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Croatia the other day, and it was the most indulgent.
Yeah, but
it was the same length as Titanic.
But when it's your trip, and in the end, the audience probably is going to be you and the other person who filmed it. Make it as self-indulgent as you want. I read something on Facebook the other day. Someone said, "Don't bother filming." What? If you want a record of something and you're happy to edit it and you enjoy the process of editing, then I think it's a good thing. But to answer the question,
yeah.
So when we came back from friend's trip to Croatia, we had 2 lots of helmet camera footage, drone footage, phone footage, some other GoPro as well. So we did have a lot. And the way I do it, and it's only my process, and I'd be interested in Tom's answer as a professional, as opposed to me, rank amateur. I organise the whole every day I organise into kind of buckets of footage for each day, and then within that I've got buckets of phone, GoPro, etc. And the thing that tells a story for me is my phone footage, because that's usually me either talking to the phone, explaining what we're doing, or filming my friends doing the same thing. So the phone thing for me is the thing that anchors the parts of the day, because that tells the story. I always put that in first, get it kind of roughly cut to how I want it to be, and then I can slot everything in around it, bit by bit.
Yeah, it's basically how I do it as well.
Yeah.
I think it's. I think when a lot of people edit footage from a trip, they have this you can end up with, funnily enough, the interesting stuff is on a bike trip is when you're not on a bike. The bike is what links you nicely from one bit to the other, but it's when you get off the bike and you meet people and you talk to people and you see things, those are the interesting things. The bike is the kind of romance that brings it all together, which is, it's lovely and it should be a real big part of it. But you know, it's slightly different when we did Mad in the Med. Dakar Dreams. The bikes had some real problems, so in a way they became characters in the story we were telling anyway. And actually that meant that we had a lot more bike footage than we'd necessarily had. If the bikes had no problems and everything went without a hitch, why spend a lot of time on it? You know, it's the stuff that there's someone that sent us a while ago a load of footage and said, you know, would you like to use this on Adventure Bike TV? And they'd edited this thing together, and it was loads and loads of riding footage, you know, all GoPro helmet thing. And it was really long. And while it was happening, he put a voiceover and he said, today was a really interesting day. So one of us got a puncture and we couldn't repair it on the road. So we flagged down this local who put it in the back of his van, and he helped us and he took it to this guy. This guy fixed it for us and he refused payment. So we went and got him a case of beers, and then we took the beers over and we all sat down and we had beers and things like that. And I went, that's a great story. Where's the footage? Oh, I was too busy to film.
It missed the best bits.
Yeah, and all the best bits. I mean, that's part of the benefit of having a cameraman with you, is that my job is to film. If a bike breaks down, I don't fix the bike, even if it's mine. I film them doing it. If bikes fall over, I don't help pick them up, even when it's mine. Yeah. I watch them do it.
So I'll give
the gates. if there's lots of gates to open and close, I film you doing it.
But I'll give the most extreme example of that. So I don't know if any of you saw the Arctic Circle, the great Arctic bike off that we did a few years back. But on the way back through Finland, so there were 4 of us. One of the guys had a massive, massive accident. So I was leading, dual carriageway either way, 80 miles an hour or something.
Something ran out in front.
Something ran out in front of him. I didn't see it because I was leading. All I knew was I went round a bend, looked in my mirrors, no lights, slowed down, no lights, pulled over, car stopped, and the guy said, "With other bikers?" He went, "Accident." He called, "Oh God, what's happened?" Luckily, the central reservation didn't have a fence in it. You just crossed over it because it was grass and rode back. And the first thing I saw was the bike was in pieces, everything a long 100 yards along the road. But Mark was kind of half sitting up, so I thought, right, he's not dead. Anything else we can sort out, he's not dead. That's the most important thing. And so he had to be carted off in an ambulance, and I spoke to Triumph, who loaned us the bikes. We were going to take the bike pieces on a recovery truck down to Helsinki. So everything was sorted. I think we were just waiting for the recovery truck. And of course, I hadn't thought about filming. As the expedition leader, I was just thinking about Mark and getting him sorted out. How was he going to get home, etc. So he's gone in the ambulance. He's a real tough guy. He said, "Look, you guys finish the trip. I will sort myself out. I will get myself home," which he did. You and I were sat on the Arnco by the side of the road. I said to Tom, because Tom still had his crash helmet on. He had a flip-fronted helmet. And I said, now that we know Mark's going to be all right and everything's sorted, I said, "Is your helmet camera been running?" He went, "The whole time."
Didn't you think it's weird at no point I took my helmet off?
Well, at the time I didn't think about it. It was only afterwards when we sat down and I thought...
I mean, sometimes it does feel a little bit heartless that you're kind of... I mean, because he was ahead of me, I always tend to ride at the back, so if something happens I can stop and film. And that was one of those cases where I was riding, I was quite a distance back, and I just saw this big cloud come up of kind of dust from the road. And then the next thing I saw was out of this cloud, this bike go, this was like, and then as I got to the cloud, I saw Mark just sliding on the road, clearly knocked unconscious, like a rag doll. And I was, oh my God. And I pulled my bike into side, and one of the things someone told me once is that you can tell whether you've got a real friend because if it's a real friend, they don't care about the bike. A not real friend will put the side stand down and get off and then come and check you. I just threw the bike on the floor, like proper heroic actually. I was like Superman off the bike. And as I was running over to him, he started to move. And my cameraman brain went, he's not dead. Camera went straight on. And from that moment on, I was filming. But I mean, it was, you know, I wasn't completely heartless. The first thing was to check he was okay. But as soon as I saw him moving, on went the camera. And then when the police came, I was like, oh, did you get anything on your camera? I was like, no. It's like literally filming him asking that question. No footage of it at all, sorry. Because I was worried they would confiscate it. And then when there's, then you kind of surreptitiously kind of get your camera out and just hold it there. And you're like, oh, don't worry, I'm not filming. But it's a...
And even walking through border checkpoints in Africa, you were doing the same thing. You had your helmet under your arm because you don't be filming things in border checkpoints where there's people with guns and stuff. But you can walk through with your helmet under your arm, with your hand over the red flashing light on your helmet camera, and you've got the footage.
Bit of black tape. That's what I use. Yeah. But yeah, it's yeah. Okay, next question, because it's quite a lot, so we need to get on with it. Who does your hair?
Just the local barber in my village.
What's your great grooming regime on the road?
My grooming regime on the road?
You
Non-existent.
moisturise a lot.
Yes. Oh, hair grooming is non-existent on the road.
But you do moisturise a lot.
Yeah, can't tell.
When travelling with Danny, did you ever plan out any Red Dwarf scenes? Did you play Rimmer? Now I know who wrote this.
No, and no. No.
Actually, there was a disappointing lack of cat moments. I think you went into a shop and he found these sweets, do you remember, that were like little fang sweets. And he bought them and literally went, hey, Danny, it's like you're the cat. And he went, yeah, thanks. It's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, so I had to do the impression in the end. Yeah. No, I didn't, but when Danny came to my house once, and my son was 11 or something, and he was a huge Red Dwarf fan. And he said, before Danny came, he said, can I show him my... Did Rimmer used to do that?
Yeah, Rimmer, yeah.
Yeah. I said, I'm sure he won't mind. And he was quite cool about it. So.
Who's your favourite, Sam or Tom? Bearing in mind Sam's gone home and I'm here.
Sam.
Okay, cool. Oh, there's more. Wait, what? Oh, wow. I just literally passed over. Cheers. F*** you. KTM or KTM? I think Sam might have written these questions.
Is the answer.
Favourite thing to take with you on a trip apart from Sam?
Tom.
Do you think the adventure bikes are going down the same dead end as sports bikes did? Chasing numbers, 150 horsepower, 250 kilograms and 20k plus, and so much tech you need a teenager to explain the buttons.
The first part of it I would disagree with, actually. I think some of them are going down the super horsepower way, but I think Honda sort of led the way with the Africa Twin when they, how long has that been out? 6-7 years? Longer than that? 8 years? When they deliberately did not go for the horsepower. They deliberately went for 90 or 100 at the time. I think when you look at adventure bikes, there's actually a lot more that have come out that aren't chasing the power. Maybe a few years ago you'd have said that. But the bigger ones, yeah, I mean, definitely.
But do you think they're going down a dead end, like sports bikes? I mean, I think it goes
I'm not sure about
phases,
dead end, but you do wonder. I mean, I remember the first time I rode a bike with cruise control. And I quite like it now, but at the time I just thought, why? What? Just.
Oh my God! Before we know it, you're like DCT.
Sorry. I do wonder where the electronics finish. Yeah, where's the end point for electronics? I mean, how much further can you go? I do, and horsepower. Yeah, I mean.
And you do lose that ability to fix things on the road, don't you?
So the second part of the question was, are they getting too complicated? Yeah. So yes, I do agree with that. And I think if I was going to choose a bike to go around the world on, I probably wouldn't choose either BMW or a KTM, one of the really big, complicated bikes. I'd want to have something that was a bit simpler.
Mm.
Yeah, because we found in West Africa, even something that, I mean, not super complicated, but a worn clutch, there was nowhere in Senegal or Mauritania where we could get it fixed.
Yeah.
Simple as that. We'd have had to go back to Morocco to get that fixed.
Yeah, that was fun though, fixing it. Well, not fixing it. Fun riding 2 Up once it died. Can you imagine me and him 2 Up on a bike? That was fun.
Yeah, on potholed roads, that wasn't fun at all.
Danny was not impressed. And Graham was like, Danny, can we please swap and Tom ride your bike and you go on the back of Tom's, back of mine, because you're a lot lighter. And I was like, you are a lot lighter, Danny. He's like, don't give me your sob stories.
It was genuinely the only time in both trips I've done with him.
Telling all the local kids that I ate people, didn't he?
He did.
It's like, that's why he's so fat, he eats annoying kids. Thanks, Danny.
Yeah.
Okay. When you do your trips with paying punters, don't the people piss you off?
From the punt. No. I mean, I do have to smile sometimes because there's a lot of preparation that goes into it, and I would like people to enjoy the preparation like I enjoy preparation. So I send them the routes and a road book and so on and so forth. And you still get, and we do calls beforehand and WhatsApp, and everything's very detailed, and you still have people turn up saying, are we eating in tonight, or are we meant to be going out? Should I have brought food with me tonight? Yeah, we've talked about it a million times. But anyway, but that doesn't mean they annoy me, it's just what it is.
For those who don't know, Graham does the Adventure Bike TV road trips, which are kind of like Welsh-based long weekends where you try and do budget, you kind of have do camping or bunk houses and things like that. So it's a bit, more grounded.
They've been kind of sort of introduction to adventure riding-ish, or just a way to meet people that you don't ride with a lot. And we've had everybody from incredibly experienced riders through to a couple of young guys came last year who've never even been to Wales. So I just found astonishing. But so it can be a real mix. But we're doing one later in the year where we're going to do the 10 highest roads in Wales. So the first 2 are kind of quite easy miles, just lots of stops for tea and cake and stuff. But the one in September is going to be a lot more miles, a bit more of a challenge.
Got another one about your tours now. It's like 2 in a row. And by different people, complete different handwriting. When will we see you tour with a few ladies? Like an entourage of women just following everywhere.
Well, finally, we were talking about that last week, weren't we? Actually trying to promote a trip to get girls to come on it as well. Not necessarily just a girls-only trip. I mean, that'd be terrible. Just me and a bunch of girls on a motorbike trip. How would I explain that to my wife? And I think that's the starting point, which is if there's kind of some known faces, that would encourage girls to come along on it as well. So either the July one or the September one we'll do with you guys, hopefully. Fantastic.
What will you replace motorbikes with when you're too old to ride?
I think at the point at which I'll be too old to ride motorbikes, I'll be too old to do anything. So I'll just die, I think. There you go.
Wow, that took a dark turn.
Yeah, well, I remember really clearly coming back on a trip from Europe once, and there was a guy on a sports bike, and he took off his helmet. I mean, not a word of a lie, he must have been in his 90s. I mean, he was so kind of full race leathers and all the kit. And I thought, I want to be doing that when I'm your age. So I hope it never stops.
So I love the way I want to do that when you're our age. And it's like, how many years ago did you go, yeah, I can't ride my Fireblade, so I've got to make the handlebars higher.
I put it back, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Why?
Because I felt like I was being unfair to him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Is the future electric or hydrogen?
I think the electric future is limited. But that's just a gut feeling. That's not based on any scientific information. I think eventually it'll be something other than electric. But it might be hydrogen, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether that applies equally to bikes, but certainly for cars.
Would you do Russia again in the current climate?
No.
That was easy.
Not at the moment, no.
Little special one now. She said to me, if I could ask a question, I'd ask this. And I said, well, write it down then. How many pairs of underpants did you take? And how often did you wash them?
Well, I think it depends. So, on a
How is this getting a longer answer than
Well,
the situation in Russia? And he's like, no, whatever. But pants, I have a lot to say about.
You see, if I'm on the big KTM, I've got all the luggage space. I'll take a clean pair of pants for every day. However, that's only 7 or 8 days. So after that, you have to wash them. But when we've done off-road stuff, when you're not doing anything social, you can wear the same pair of pants every single day, because it doesn't matter how minging they get, because you're only wearing the same things. But it doesn't matter. Then you have one clean.
You have one clean pair for when you
one
get
clean
home,
pair for the evenings.
home day.
However, if you're camping, you just wear the same minging stuff all the time.
Get merino wool pants.
Who you been clean
merino
for?
wool don't smell as much.
Yeah. Who you been clean for? Equally, if you've got two, you can always wash one anywhere. You can wash it at a petrol station.
No, we've done that, haven't we? You've washed it. You wash it in like a river or in the sink where you're going, and then you put them on your bike to dry as you ride.
Yeah, but the same principle applies again. If you're going to go super light, particularly you have off-roading stuff, is just one t-shirt, preferably a merino wool one, because as minging as you get, they might get a bit greasy and minging looking, but they don't smell. So again, one t-shirt to wear during the day and one at night.
Merino wool is like the saviour for adventure travellers, because
but if you're genuinely looking to go as minimal weight as possible, a day shirt and an evening shirt, that's it.
Is that the answer you were hoping for?
Sorry.
I can't believe how long we spoke about that.
Yes. Russia,
compared to everything else we've been talking about. Okay, we're going to have another little break now.